What's up, guys? So this week I've been really busy. I've got a wedding this weekend and I've been, streaming the whole week, but I still wanted to get a video out for you guys. And I figured if we're gonna have a more short and just down to earth video, why don't we just do something fun like the top 5 things I'm looking forward to in Starfield. So without further ado, guys, these are the top 5 things I'm looking forward to and hoping to see in the next gen iteration coming out of Bethesda. Thanks, guys. So first up, what I'm really hoping for from Starfield is actually just another Oblivion Wow moment. I remember when I was a kid, one of the first games I ever ended up really playing, getting deeply involved in, was Oblivion. And one of the reasons for that was just that defining moment in the beginning of Oblivion after you come out of the sewers and you just see an amazing world in front of you. For the time, Oblivion had some of the best graphics, physics, and just all-around game setting in the entire industry. And walking out of that tunnel after fighting rats and bad guys for 30 minutes to an hour and just seeing the light shine in and a giant open world in front of you was so exciting. And I don't think any of Bethesda's later games have really been able to capture the same wow moment that I felt playing Oblivion. And maybe it was just because I was a kid and I was younger and it was one of the first games I was really into. But for example, riding in the cart in Skyrim it doesn't have that same sense of discovery that I really felt in Oblivion coming out of those sewers. Hopefully for Starfield, Bethesda can finally bring back that Oblivion insane wow moment that I felt as a kid. Maybe stepping off of a spaceship and just seeing the entire galaxy in front of you, or going through some sci-fi fight that ends in you just finding all these cool characters you're excited to learn more about. Just something that makes me say, wow, this game is going to be great. Just like how I felt with Oblivion coming out of the sewers. But one of the big ways I think Bethesda can actually pull something like this off kind of leads into the second thing I'm really looking forward to in Starfield. And that's an updated engine. So as I'm sure all of you know, Bethesda's been no stranger to controversy recently. And a lot of that stems from, the engine, the creation engine that they're using in most of their games. Because while the creation engine is heavily tailored for creating Bethesda-like open world games in a quick and timely manner, it's starting to show its age. It was initially released back in November of 2011, and while there have been many iterations across engine, including lighting improvements, physics improvements, and particle effect improvements as well, it's not enough. The engine is really starting to show its age now, and the improvements just haven't been good enough. But for anyone that isn't a developer, especially in game engine software, there is a lot of iteration that can be done, for example with new technology like photogrammetry, which Bethesda is looking to add to Starfield, that can make a ton of improvements to an otherwise very old and dated looking engine. So I'm hoping for Starfield, Bethesda can finally show us that they have made improvements on the creation engine that are meaningful and actually cause an impact. I want to be able to come out of wherever the start of the game is and just be wowed again like I was with Oblivion. And a lot of that is going to have to do with awesome graphics with things like photogrammetry like I noted on, and just new and advanced movement and physics systems, which Todd Howard has also noted are coming for Starfield. Especially coming off the heels of Fallout 76, I'm sure Bethesda is looking to come back and win back their fans with Starfield, with just a way better engine and less bugs. That way, the memes can finally stop. Next up though, something else I really want from Starfield is just some deep-rooted RPG mechanics with a mysterious story in this great sci-fi setting. One thing that I'm just most excited about for Starfield in general is actually sci-fi is probably my favorite setting in all of fantasy, and I'm really excited to see how Bethesda tackles this. We've seen things that I love like Mass Effect and a lot of other series like Deep Space, but I think Bethesda's specific spin on the RPG genre could be really interesting in a sci-fi setting. And while I know Bethesda's staple is really exploration and finding your own story, I do hope they can ground this entire explorative narrative in some sort of crazy mystery that we all just want to learn about. Especially for sci-fi, I love going through stories where there's something weird going on in the background and you're constantly trying to figure out really what this whole universe is about and maybe what this defining evil background character really is. For example, almost all of the great big sci-fi stories that we think about are rooted in some kind of mystery. Think Mass Effect and the Reapers. Think 2001: A Space Odyssey and what's going on with Hal. Think aliens and being scared about what is in these eggs and what do these facehuggers do. Hopefully Bethesda can bring their own magic to this setting with this sense of just mystery and discovery that they're so good at, in a story that is just as mysterious as it is fun to just enjoy and be around. Imagine exploring the galaxy with your crew and finding derelict spaceships that have no crew left but signs of a struggle. Things like that then are, expanded upon throughout the story would be super exciting to see, and I hope Todd has the same idea for the sci-fi game he's always wanted to create, that being Starfield. On top of that as well, I do hope Bethesda tries to focus more on quality over quantity. I don't need 10 million planets to explore just like No Man's Sky. I would rather just have a few smaller planets that are maybe, closer to the size of Oblivion or something like that, with each of them having their own defining characteristics, characters, and just background stories that I can really delve into and enjoy. I think that's what Bethesda's always been strong at, and hopefully they can capitalize on that in what might be the perfect setting for their kind of games, sci-fi. But it isn't just all about setting and, story and characters. Another thing I really do want to see, specifically from Starfield, is more deeply rooted RPG mechanics in a Bethesda game. Ever since Morrowind, Bethesda has slowly been focusing less and less on the RPG elements of their games and more on just things like combat and straight up exploration. Which is fine, but I think it's finally time for Bethesda, the boys and Todd, to really settle down and say, hey, we want this game to be a little more in-depth and in-your-face than maybe previous entries. We want to keep that exploration and all the great characters and moments, but why not have a really deeply rooted RPG system as well, where we can upgrade our characters along specific paths, maybe choose our background stories just like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to do. Hopefully, the team over in Maryland, Bethesda, can finally see that a lot of the fans want the game to go back to its more traditional roots of RPG elements that Bethesda was always known for in their starting days. And after all, Bethesda games have always been about creating your own character in this new exciting world. And I think adding a bunch of RPG elements on top of that can only really help. Hopefully Bethesda also sees the trend in the industry of people wanting more in-depth experiences. And I'm hoping that Todd tries to capitalize on this by just making Starfield maybe a more hardcore version of all of their RPG games than maybe previous entries. And on top of that, since Starfield is an entirely new game and setting and story, it'd be the perfect game to just really mix things up and maybe make, Bethesda go back to its more hardcore RPG roots. Now though, last but not least, the final thing I want to see from Starfield is something that's a little more controversial, and that is multiplayer. Yes, multiplayer. So I know with Fallout 76 there was a lot of issues and everyone was very pissed to see that, hey, their favorite single-player, immersive, open world RPG was now being taken over by the industry's need and want for multiplayer elements. And while I know Fallout 76 failed and that all of the multiplayer just didn't work and was very horribly implemented, and I don't think we can forgive Bethesda for that, I think if implemented correctly, a Fallout or Oblivion or just sci-fi setting game that's just like Bethesda's open world games could work really well with maybe just some drop-in, drop-out co-op, kind of like how it works in, say, Borderlands. And when I say multiplayer, I don't mean, battle royale or being able to fight other players and build settlements together. I just mean drop-in, drop-out co-op where any one of your friends can join in on your world and just help you complete some quests and just explore the world together. Imagine a game just like Skyrim, but you can have someone join in and fight a dragon with you, or join in and do the Dark Brotherhood quests. I think that's what people always envisioned when they thought of a multiplayer Bethesda game. But then when Bethesda actually finally went through and did a multiplayer game, they completely gutted the game from all the things that people loved from before, including the quests and the deep, intriguing storylines, and really only left mediocre exploration in its place. If Bethesda can build the game from the ground up, just like they have their previous entries like Oblivion and Morrowind and Skyrim, entries that everyone loved, but then just kind of drop in multiplayer on top of that, I think that would almost be perfect. Because even when I was growing up, I always wanted the ability to play with my friends and to get them to get the game too so we could all experience it together. I think that would be really great. It's just the way that Bethesda already implemented multiplayer wasn't the right way to go. But I don't think that means that they shouldn't try again, because it could be a really great idea that would bring even more people into the Bethesda ecosystem. But yeah, guys, that's my list for the top 5 things I'm interested to see and really want from Starfield coming up hopefully next year or the year after. But yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys believe you're most excited for from Starfield. And, if you guys can, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. It would really help out. Or, go check me out on twitch.tv/FranklyGaming. That's mostly where I am most of the week. So, yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Like I said, I have that wedding this weekend, so I had to make this video pretty quick. And hopefully I can go a little more in-depth for next week's video. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and see you somewhere.